Chapter 1. A demon's heart remains unrepentant even in death. Fang Yuan, surrender the spring-autumn cicada obediently, and I'll grant you a swift death. Old bastard Fang, cease your resistance. Today, all righteous sects have united to storm your den of evil. This place is sealed tighter than heaven's net, your decapitation is inevitable. Fang Yuan, you accursed fiend. To refine the spring-autumn cicada, you slaughtered millions. Your sins drown mountains and exhaust bamboo scrolls, no atonement remains. Demon, 3 centuries ago you defiled me, slaughtered my family, exterminated my bloodline. Since that day, I've hungered for your flesh and thirsted for your blood. Today, you'll beg for death's release. Fang Yuan stood amidst the carnage, his emerald robes in tatters, hair matted with blood, surveying the battlefield. Mountain winds whipped his bloody garments, snapping like war banners in the gale. Crimson lifeblood gushed from hundreds of wounds. A mere moment's standing left him ankle-deep in a growing pool of gore. Enemies encircled him, no retreat remained. The die was cast, death's embrace awaited. Fang Yuan saw his predicament with crystal clarity, yet faced annihilation with unshaken composure. His eyes held the stillness of ancient well waters, dark, fathomless, inscrutable. The righteous coalition comprised venerable patriarchs and prodigious heroes. Now they tightened their ring, some roaring challenges, others sneering contemptuously, all eyeing their prey with wariness or poorly concealed dread. None dared strike first, fearing the cornered demon's final gambit. 6 hours passed in lethal stillness until sunset painted the peaks in wildfire hues. The statue-still demon finally turned. 100 warriors recoiled as one. Blood had long stained the granite black beneath him. His pallid face, kissed by dying light, gained an ethereal radiance. Gazing at the blazing horizon, Fang Yuan murmured, green peaks at dusk, autumn moons in spring winds. Dawn's black silk becomes twilight's snow, all triumphs and defeats dissolve to emptiness. Earthly memories from another life flooded his vision. Once a scholar in China, he transmigrated to this world to wander 3 centuries in hardship, then dominate 2 more, 500 years vanished like morning mist. Long-buried recollections now unfolded with vivid clarity. So it ends in failure, he mused without regret. This outcome had been anticipated since first embarking on this path. The demonic path spurns virtue, arson and slaughter make heaven and earth recoil. To embrace it meant making the world one's enemy. If my newborn spring-autumn cicada works, he laughed wildly, I'll walk the demon's path again. Why laugh, ancient evil? Brace yourselves. The demon's death throes approach. Yield the cicada. As they surged forward, Fang Yuan detonated his essence in cataclysmic fury. Ellipsis. Spring rains whispered across Qingmao Mountain. Late night breezes carried drizzle through the dark. Yet the mountain gleamed, from foothills to slopes, countless pinpricks of light formed a luminous belt. These emanated from stilted towers, not 10,000, but several thousand lanterns strong. Thus did Guu One village imprint human presence upon the vast wilderness. At its heart stood a grand pavilion, blazing with ceremonial lights for the ancestral rites. Ancestors, bless our awakening ceremony. Prayed the middle-aged clan leader, silver-templed and white-robed, kneeling rigidly on ochre tiles. Let worthy youths emerge to renew our bloodline. Before him rose a black lacquered altar holding 3 tiers of ancestral tablets flanked by bronze censers smoldering with incense. Behind knelt a dozen elders in voluminous white vestments, the clan's power brokers and administrators. After prayers, the leader pressed palms to the floor and kowtowed, forehead thudding dully. Solemn elders mirrored his motions. The hall echoed with muffled impacts of flesh on wood. Rites concluded, the assembly rose silently and filed out. In the corridor, elders exhaled collectively, tension easing. Murmurs swelled. A year passes in the blink of an eye. The last awakening ceremony feels like yesterday, still fresh in memory. What new talents will emerge at tomorrow's ceremony? 3 years without a great prodigy, may the ancestors answer us. The Bai and Shang clans spawn geniuses yearly. Bai Ningbing's talent chills the blood. At Bai Ningbing's name, worried glances passed among the elders. The youth had reached 3rd-ranked GU master in 2 years, outshining contemporaries and unnerving veterans. None doubted he'd become Bai clan's pillar, a powerhouse rivaling veteran masters. Yet hope remains in this year's candidates. The Fang branch boasts a wonder-chilled, spoke at 3 months, walked at 4, composed poetry by 5. Orphaned early, now raised by his aunt and uncle. His Invitation to Wine, Ode to Plum Blossoms, and River City Ballad reveal extraordinary genius. The clan leader, last to exit, closed the temple doors on elders' buzzing discussions. He recognized their subject, Gu Fang Yuan. As leader, he tracked all promising youths, none shone brighter than this boy. History showed early prodigies often possessed superior cultivation aptitudes. If he tests grade A, the leader mused, smiling faintly, he might rival Bai Ningbing. Even grade B would become a clan standard bearer. But such precocity suggests grade A. Clearing his throat, he addressed the elders, rest well tonight for tomorrow's trials. Elders stiffened, eyeing each other with veiled suspicion. All understood the subtext. Annual recruitment battles turned dignified elders into snarling wolves. Tonight's rest would fuel tomorrow's contests. Fang Yuan, likely grade A, orphaned last of his line, promised century-long dominance to whichever branch secured him. But compete honorably, the leader warned. No scheming that fractures clan unity. We wouldn't dare. Your words guide us. We take our leave, clan leader. Elders dispersed, minds racing with strategies. Soon the corridor
Reverend
stood empty.
Insanity,
The leader
Chapter 1
drifted to a rain-streaked window.
version.
Cool mountain air
Reverend
washed over
Insanity,
him, fragrant
author,
with petrichor.
Gu Gen
From
Ren,
this third-story
a demon
vantage,
reborn, a
Gu
man
village
who lived
spread below.
500 years.
Unusually,
returned to his
most
youth with
households
all
still
his
burned
memories.
lamps deep into the
Story
night.
begins.
The awakening
The world
ceremonies
is cruel.
import thrummed
In
through
a
the
world
clan.
where strength
Sleep eluded
decides
many.
everything, where
Their
magical
flickers our
creatures
future,
called
the leader
Gu worms
murmured,
determine
watching
your fate.
firefly
A
lights.
man named Fang Yuan
Elsewhere,
stands at the
another
peak of
pair
evil.
of eyes observed those
He
same
lived for
lights with
500
profound
years.
complexity.
He killed. He
Gu
betrayed.
village,
He
5 centuries
sacrificed
past.
everything.
The
But in
spring
the
autumn
end,
cicada
he
succeeded.
failed.
Fang Yuan
Surrounded by
stood drenched at
righteous
his window,
cultivators,
gaze
hunted
piercing the
like a
storm.
beast, Fang
Ranked
Yuan
7th among
activates
the
a
10
forbidden
legendary
Gu, the
the
spring autumn
cicada's time
cicada.
reversal power
As
defied
his
cosmic
enemies
law.
close in,
In
a bright
essence,
light
rebirth,
explodes.
reborn
And
through
then,
the
there
cicada,
was
he
silence.
whispered,
Hourglass
studying his youthful
rebirth.
palm before
Fang
clenching
Yuan
it.
opens his eye.
This is reality. Rain whispered against shutters as he sighed. 500 years, a fading dream. Yet he knew, this was no mere dream. Chapter 2. Going back in time with 500 years of knowledge. It was said in legend that a river of time existed in this world. It supported the world's time flow and circulation. And by using the spring-autumn cicada's power, one could travel back upstream and return to the past. There had been much conflicting opinion on this mythical tale. Many did not believe in it, and some were skeptical to the truth. Few people actually dared to believe it. Because every time one used the spring-autumn cicada, one had to pay with their life, letting their entire body and cultivation be the driving force to use its very power. Such a price was just too great, and the thing that people just couldn't accept was the fact that after paying with one's life, one didn't even know what the outcome would be. So even if someone had the spring-autumn cicada, they wouldn't dare use it so indiscriminately. What if the rumors were fake, and if it was just a scam? If Fang Yuan were not cornered into such a state, he wouldn't have used it so hurriedly either. But now, Fang Yuan was thoroughly convinced. The reality of the truth had been laid before his eyes and there was no denying it. He had really been reborn. It's just a pity, from the start I had wasted an absurd amount of effort, killing hundreds of thousands of people, making even the heavens furious and attracting the vengeance of people. I went through suffering and multiple hardships to finally attain and refine this good Gu, Fang Yuan thought with a sigh. Even though he had been reborn, the spring-autumn cicada didn't come with him. Humans were the greatest among thousands of creatures, but Gu were the essence of heaven and earth. Gu came in thousands of shapes and sizes of strange and mysterious variety, there were too many to count. Some Gu after being used once, twice or even thrice would completely dissipate. And some Gu could be reused again and again as long as it wasn't used over its limits. That said, it was probable that the spring-autumn cicada was one of those types that could only be used once before disappearing for good. But even if it's gone, I can still refine another. I have done it in my previous life, why can't I do it in this life? After the thoughts of pity were put aside, Fang Yuan's heart burst forth ambitious and determined feelings. To be able to be reborn made the loss of the spring-autumn cicada entirely acceptable. Not to mention he had something precious with him, so it's not like he had lost everything. This precious treasure was his 500 years' worth of memories and experience. In his memories were a multitude of all kinds of treasures and precious items that no one had opened yet in this time. He could easily grasp all the big events and incidents by the veins of history. There were a countless number of figures, some predecessors of hidden levels, some geniuses, and some were not even born yet. Also in those 500 years were memories of painstaking cultivation and rich combat experience. With all these memories and experiences, he had undeniably grasped the overall situation and upcoming opportunities. With good planning and execution, he could empower the situation with great fierceness and elegance. It was not a problem now that he could take a step ahead of others, breaking the higher boundaries. So how do I go about this? Fang Yuan was incredibly sensible. He collected himself together and faced the night rain outside the window, pondering. With this thought, things started to feel complicated. After thinking for a moment, his brows wrinkled deeper. 500 years of time was a rather long period. Ignoring those long muddled memories that couldn't be recalled, even remembering the hidden locations of treasures or special encounters of people was demanding, but the main issue was that the locations were separated among a long distance and had to be accessed or visited at certain periods of time. The most important thing is cultivation. The present me has not even opened my primeval sea, hasn't stepped on the path to be a GU master. I'm just a mortal. I have to hurry and cultivate, catching up to history and seize the opportunities with the best advantage. Not to forget, many of these hidden locations of treasures were useless without proper foundation. Instead it would just be walking into a wolf's den, looking for death. The problem in front of Fang Yuan right now was cultivation. He had to increase the level of his foundation as fast as possible. If he were slow like his previous life, he would just be too late. To cultivate as fast as possible, I would have to borrow the resources from the clan. With the state I am right now, I have no power or ability to travel back and forth across the dangerous mountains. Even an ordinary mountain boar can take my life. If I can reach the cultivation of a third-level GU master, I'd have the means to protect myself and leave the mountain. Through the eyes of a 500-year-old person who had cultivated in the demonic path, Qingmao Mountain was just way too small. GUU village even felt like a cage. But while the cage restricted freedom, the sturdy bars of the cage also brought about a certain kind of safety. In this short period of time, I'll just stay in this cage. As long as I can reach third-level GU master, I can leave this poor mountain. Luckily tomorrow is the awakening ceremony, I'll be able to start training as a GU master soon after. When he thought about the awakening ceremony, old memories that had long been buried away in his heart resurfaced themselves. Talent he sneered, his gaze focused out the window. At this moment, the door to his room was lightly pushed open and a young teenager walked in. "Brother, why are you standing in the rain by the window side?" The youth was thin, slightly shorter than Fang Yuan. His face resembled Fang Yuan's features greatly. As Fang Yuan turned his head to look at this young man, a complicated look flickered across his face. "It's you, my twin little brother." He raised his eyebrows, his expression returning to that of cold indifference. Fang Zheng lowered his head and looked at his own toes. This is his signature stance. "Brother, I saw that your window wasn't shut, so I thought I'd come in here and close it. Tomorrow is the awakening ceremony, it's so late and you haven't gone to bed yet." If uncle and auntie knew, they would probably be worried. Fang Zheng was not surprised at Fang Yuan's coldness. Ever since he was a little child, his older brother had always been like that. Sometimes he would wonder, perhaps a genius was just like that, being rather different from ordinary people. Even though he had the same looks as his older brother, he felt that he was ordinary, akin to an ant. They were born from the same womb at the same time, and yet why were the heavens so unfair? His older brother had been endowed with gleaming talent, while he himself was as ordinary as a stone. Everyone around him would say, "This is Fang Yuan's younger brother," when they mentioned him. His aunt and uncle would constantly tell him to learn from his older brother. Even when he looked into the mirror sometimes, he would feel disgusted as he saw his own face. These thoughts had been ongoing for many years, accumulating day and night deeply into his heart. Like a giant stone pressing against his heart, Fang Zheng's head lowered more and more over the years, and he also grew quieter. Worried, at the thought of his aunt and uncle, Fang Yuan laughed silently. He could still remember clearly how his parents of this world had both lost their lives in one of the clan missions. When he was only 3 years old, he and his little brother had become orphans. In the name of upbringing, his aunt and uncle grabbed hold of the inheritance left behind by his parents while inflicting harsh treatment against his younger brother and himself. He originally planned on simply being a normal person, even planning to conceal his abilities and bide his time. However, his life was difficult, making Fang Yuan have no choice but to choose to expose some of his talents. The so-called talent was merely but a mature and intellect soul that carried a few of Earth's popular ancient poems. With this he managed to startle people and capture attention. Because of pressure from the outside world, the young Fang Yuan made a decision to keep a cold indifferent expression to protect himself, reducing the possibility of revealing any secrets. Over time the coldness became a habit that he was accustomed to expressing. Thus, his aunt and uncle were no longer harsh on him and his younger brother. As the years passed and they got older, the future became more optimistic and he received better treatment. This was not love, but a type of investment. It's hilarious how his little brother never saw the truth. Not only was he deceived by their aunt and uncle, but he also started burying his resentments inside. Although he looked like a good-natured and honest boy now, in Fang Yuan's memories when his brother was found out to be an A-grade talent, the clan spent much effort in raising him with all they had. After that, all the buried resentment and jealous and hate inside was released, and many a time Fang Zheng would target, suppress, and make life difficult for his own older brother. As for his own grade, it was only C-grade talent. Fate loved to play a joke. A pair of twins, the older one only had C-grade talent, but had been known as a genius for a dozen years. The younger one who was always overlooked was the one with a grade talent instead. The results of the awakening ceremony had left the clan shocked. The treatment of the two brothers suddenly reversed after that. The younger brother was like a dragon that rose up to the heavens, the older brother was like a phoenix that fell down to the earth. After that came the many hardships and troubles from his own younger brother, the cold eyes of his aunt and uncle, and the contempt of the clan. Did he hate it? Fang Yuan hated it in his previous life. He hated his own lack of talent, he hated how heartless the clan was, hated how fate was so unfair. But now, with his 500 years of life experiences, using this to retrospect, his heart was actually calm without a shred of hatred. What was there to be gained from resentment? Thinking about it from another point of view, he could understand his younger brother, and an uncle, even those enemies from 500 years later who attacked him. The strong ate the weak, survival of the fittest, these had always been the rules of this world. Everyone had their ambitions, always struggling to grasp the opportunities presented before them. Among all the war and killing, what was there not to be understood? 500 years of life experience had long allowed him to understand all of this, with a heart that wanted to gain immortality. If someone tried to prevent this pursuit of his, no matter who it was, he would kill and live through it. The aspirations in his heart were too big. Taking this path ensured he made the world his enemy, and he was destined to be alone, and destined to kill. This was the conclusion from having lived 500 years. Revenge is not my intention, the demonic path does not compromise. With that he couldn't help but laugh and gave his younger brother a faint glance. You may leave. Fang Zheng's heart shook as he felt that his brother's eyes were incisive like an ice blade, seemingly penetrating the deepest parts of his heart. Under such a gaze, he felt like he was naked in the snow, unable to hold any secrets. Then I'll see you tomorrow. Not daring to say any more, Fang Zheng slowly closed the door and left. Chapter 3. Please go aside and scram. Bang, bang, bang. The patrolling night watchman banged his wooden clappers in a rhythm. The sound spread into the high pillar houses. Fang Yuan opened his dry eyelids while his heart silently thought, it's already the hour before dawn. He had been lying in bed thinking for a long time last night. He thought up a lot of plans. He probably only slept for a little over 2 hours. This body has not started cultivating, his energy is not so vigorous and thus his body and mind were still shrouded in exhaustion. However, with 500 years of experience, Fang Yuan had long built up deep steel-like determination. This sort of sleep-deprived exhaustion is nothing to him. Immediately he shoved away the thin silk blanket and got up neatly. He opened the window and found that the spring rain had stopped. The mix of fragrance of the earth, trees and wild flowers greeted him. Fang Yuan felt his head clear, the sleepiness washing away cleanly. Right now the sun had yet risen, the sky still a deep dark blue, not dark yet not bright. Looking around, the tall houses made of green bamboo and wood contrasting with the mountain, was a sea of pale green color. The tall houses had at least 2 floors, it was the mountain folks' unique structure of a house. Due to the mountain's uneven terrain, the first floor is massive wooden stakes, the second floor is where the people reside. Fang Yuan and his brother Fang Zhen stayed on the second floor. Young Master Fang Yuan, you're awake. I will go upstairs and wait for you to wash up. At this moment, a maiden's voice floated up from downstairs. Looking down, Fang Yuan saw his own personal servant, Shen Kui. Her looks were only slightly above average, but she dressed up well. Shen Kui wore a green robe with long sleeves and trousers, had embroidered shoes on her feet and her black hair had a pearl hairpin. Her body from head to toe radiated youthful vitality. She looked happily at Fang Yuan while carrying a basin of water, and walked upstairs. The water was at the right warm temperature and was used to wash the face. After rinsing his mouth, he used a willow twig with snow salt to clean his teeth. Shen Kui waited gently, her face wearing a smile and her eyes lively as spring. After he was done, she helped Fang Yuan dress, her plump breasts rubbing against his elbow or his back a few times during the process. Fang Yuan's face showed no expression, his heart was calm as water. This servant girl was nothing but his aunt and uncle's watcheye and was a vain heartless girl. In his previous life she enraptured him, but after the awakening ceremony when his status plummeted she quickly turned away her head and gave him countless disdainful looks. When Fang Zheng came over he was in time to see Shen Kui smoothing the creases on the clothing of Fang Yuan's chest. His eyes had a flicker of jealousy. These years living together with his older brother, under the care of Fang Yuan, he also had a servant waiting on him. However, his servant was not a youthful girl like Shen Kui but a fat and white old woman. I wonder which day can Shen Kui wait on me like this, wonder what it feels like. Fang Zheng thought inside his heart, yet he did not dare to. His aunt and uncle's biased love to Fang Yuan was no secret to everyone. Originally he did not even have a servant to wait on him. It was Fang Yuan who decided to take the initiative and ask for one for Fang Zheng. Although there was the status difference between master and servant, but usually Fang Zheng did not dare underestimate Shen Kui. That was because her mother was the matron Shen who stood beside his aunt and uncle. Matron Shen was the caretaker of the entire household, having full trust of his aunt and uncle, she had considerable authority. Alright, no need to tidy up. Fang Yuan impatiently brushed away Shen Kui's soft small hands. His clothing had long been tidy, she was just trying to seduce him. To Shen Kui and the brightness of her future, Fang Yuan's possibility of having an A-grade talent was huge. If she could be his concubine she would be able to elevate from servant status into master, it was quite a big step. In his previous life Fang Yuan was deceived by her and had feelings for Shen Kui. After his rebirth he was clear as a blazing fire, his heart as cold as ice. You can leave. Fang Yuan did not even look at Shen Kui as he tidied up his own sleeve cuffs. Shen Kui pouted slightly, feeling that today Fang Yuan's puzzling behavior was rather odd and upsetting. She wanted to reply in a spoiled way but being scared by his cold and confusing nature, her mouth opened and closed a few times before she ended up saying, yes, and retreating obediently. Are you ready? Fang Yuan asked Fang Zheng. His younger brother stood at the doorway, his head bowed down to look at his toes. He muttered a light, yes. Fang Zheng had actually been awake since the fourth watch, too nervous to fall back asleep. He quietly got out of bed and got ready a long time ago, his eyes having black circles. Fang Yuan nodded. In his previous life he was not clear about his younger brother's thoughts, but in this life, how could he not understand? But right now it was meaningless to him, and he lightly said, then let's go. So the two brothers left the house. On the way they bumped into many youths of similar age, all in groups of 2s and 3s, quite clearly heading to the same destination. Look guys, those are the Fang brothers. Their ears could pick up the small cautious talk. The one walking in front is Fang Yuan, he's the Fang Yuan who created the poems, some of them emphasized. So that's him. His face is expressionless as if he had no regard for others, just like the rumors say. Someone said in a sour tone filled with jealousy and envy. HMPH, if you were like him then you can also act like that. Someone coldly replied against the person, hiding a sort of dissatisfaction. Fang Zheng listened expressionlessly. He had long been accustomed to this kind of discussion. His head low, he followed quietly behind his older brother. By now the light of dawn had peeked over the horizon, casting Fang Yuan's shadow over his face. The sun rose gradually, but Fang Yuan suddenly felt like he was walking into darkness. This darkness was coming from his older brother. Maybe in this life, he would never be able to escape from the imprisoning huge shadow of his brother. He felt a burst of pressure on his chest making his breathing difficult. This damned feeling was even making him think of the word, suffocate. HMPH, this talk is a good example of the saying, those who have outstanding talent easily bring about jealous from others, Fang Yuan thought with a sneer as he listened to the gossip around. No wonder when it was announced that he had C-grade talent, he would be surrounded by enemies and suffer harsh, disdainful coldness for a long time. Behind him, Fang Zheng's breathing got dreary and tried to stop listening. What Fang Yuan did not manage to realize in his previous life, he could perceive with the finest detail in this life. This was the ability of keen insight that he had gained from 500 years' worth of life experiences. He suddenly thought of his aunt and uncle and how scheming they were. giving him Shen Kui to monitor him and passing his younger brother an old wet nurse, not including other things in life that were different among them. All these actions had intentions. They wanted to cause unhappiness in his younger brother's heart and instigate a rift among the brothers. People are not worried about whether they receive less, people worry about whether whatever they received is undistributed well. In his previous life his experiences were too little, while his younger brother was too foolish and too naive, thus his aunt and uncle successfully instigated a rift among them. After being reborn with the awakening ceremony before him, it seemed like the situation was difficult to change. But with Fang Yuan's evil way of means and wisdom, it's not like the situation cannot be changed. His younger brother can be suppressed entirely, that young Shen Kui he could turn into a concubine early on. Not forgetting his aunt and uncle and the clan elders, he had at least several hundred ways of beating them. But, I don't feel like doing that, Fang Yuan sighed carefreely. So what if it was his own younger brother? Without the blood relation his younger brother was just an outsider, he could easily give him up anytime. So what if Shen Kui grew any prettier? Without love and loyalty she was just a heap of flesh of a body. Keep her as a concubine. She's not worthy. So what if it was his aunt and uncle, or the clan elders? They're just passers-by in life, why waste effort and energy to beat these people? Hee. As long as you don't get in my way, then you can go aside and scram, I don't need to care about you. Chapter 4. Gu Fang Yuan. The sun rose, its rays brilliant. The mountain fog wasn't very thick that allowed the penetrating rays to Cassidy pass through. Over 115-year-old youths gathered in front of the clan pavilion. The clan pavilion was in the middle of the village, reaching 5 stories and having sharp tilted roofs. It was heavily guarded. Before the pavilion was the square, and in the pavilion was the shrine of the Guu ancestor memorial tablets. Every generation of clan head had lived in the pavilion. With every major ceremony or Hig incident, the clan elders would gather and discuss meetings here as well. This was the entire village's authority central. Good, all of you are punctual. Today is the awakening ceremony, it is your life's great turning point. I won't say much, just come with me. The one responsible at the moment was the elder of the academy, his beard and hair were white and he was in high spirits as he led the young teenagers into the pavilion. However they did not go up, but were led downstairs after going through the entrance of a great hall. Following down a constructed stone ladder, they went into an underground cave. The group of youths made surprised and amazed noises. The underground cave was beautiful, stalactites sparkling with the colors of the rainbow. This light shone on the youths' faces, the neon hues gorgeous. Fang Yuan mixed into the crowd, quietly, observing everything that was happening. In his heart, he thought, hundreds of years ago, the Guu clan came to Qingmao Mountain and settled down after migrating from the central lands to the south border. It was when they found a spirit spring in this underground cave. This spirit spring produces a large number of primeval stones. It could be said that this was the foundation of the Guu village. They walked several hundred steps. It got darker and the sounds of water were faintly heard. After turning around a corner, a 30 feet wide underground river greeted them. By now the colorful lights of the stalactites had disappeared completely, yet in the darkness the river emitted a faint blue light. It was like a star river of the night sky. The river flowed from the dark depths of the cave. Inside the crystal clear waters, one could see fish, aquatic plants and even the sand. Beneath the river, opposite the river was a sea of flowers. This was the OU clan's closely cultivated moon orchids. The beautiful blue and pink colored petals were shaped like a crescent moon. The flower stems were like jade, the center of the flower shining like the sort of warm brilliance that radiates from pearls under the light. At first glance, in the dark background the flower S's looks like a huge piece of land covered in bluish-green carpet, dotted with countless pearls. The moon orchid is food for a lot of Gu. This flower sea could be said as the clan's biggest cultivation medium, Fang Yuan thought knowingly to himself. Wow, so pretty, it really is beautiful. The new sight opened the young teenagers' eyes. Each one of them had a light radiating from their gaze with excited and anxious feelings. All right, listen as I call your names. Those who are called must walk through this river to the opposite bank. Walk as far as you can, of course, the further you go, the better it is. Are all of you clear on that? The elder said. Yes, the youths replied. Actually before they came here, they had all heard their family members or seniors talk about it. It is known that the further you can walk, the better your talent is. Your future will also become brighter. Guu Chenbo the elder held the name list. and called out the first person. The river was wide but not deep, it covered up to a youth's kneecaps. Chen Bo's face was full of seriousness as he stepped into the flower sea ashore. As he did so, he could feel an invisible pressure as if there was a wall in front of him that he could not see, blocking him from walling forward. During this moment, the flowers at his feet suddenly gave off a weak white light. The light gathered around Chenbi and entered his body. For a moment, Chen Liu felt the pressure drop. The invisible wall blocking him suddenly felt softer. With this, Chen 50 gritted his teeth and mustered his strength. Walking forward, he tried to force his way in stiffly, yet after 3 steps the wall in front of him hardened again back to the state before. Thus he could not walk any further. As he watched this, the elder sighed. While recording what happened, he said, Gu Chen Bo, 3 steps, no talent to become a go master. Next, Gu Zhao Xie. Chen Bo was deathly pale as he walked past the river and back to the youths, clenching his teeth. Without the endowed talent he could live as a normal human, holding the lowest position in the clan. His stature was shaky. It was a huge blow to him, as if reality had killed all his hopes. Many people threw him pitiful gazes, while even more hide-fixated stares at the second person crossing the river. It was a pity that this youth could only walk 4 steps forward. He did not have talent either. Not everyone has the natural talent to be a GU master. Generally speaking, it is not bad if 5 out of 10 people have talent. In the GU clan, this ratio is higher, reaching 6 people. This is because the GUU clan's ancestor, the first generation clan leader, was a famous, legendary, and powerful man. Due to cultivation reasons, his bloodline carried powerful genes, thus the average quality of talent in the GUU clan was generally higher as they carried his blood in their veins. With 2 consecutive failures, the other elders, observing the scene in the dark, started making ugly expressions. Even the clan hand was frowning slightly. The next moment, the academy elder called out the third name, Gu Mo Bei. Here, a horse-faced youth dressed in linen robes lightly called as he came forth. He was tall in build, looking much sturdier than his peers. There was a brave aura about him. He crossed the river in a few steps and reached the opposite bank. 10 steps, 20 steps, 30 steps. One after another small lights entered his body. He walked until he reached 36 steps before he could forcefully go no further. The youths at the riverbank watched with wide opened eyes, shocked. The academy elder happily exclaimed, Good, Gu Mo Bei, B. Great talent. Come here, let me see your primeval sea. Gu Mo Bei walked back to the academy elder's side. The latter stretched out his hand and put it on the juvenile's shoulder, closing his eyes as he checked with focus. Then he retracted his hand and nodded, recording down on the paper, Gu Mo Bei, primeval sea, measuring 6 by sacks, could be vigorously trained. This special talent could be measured by 4 grades, a grade to D grade. A D grade talent, youth who was nurtured for 3 years would be able to become a rank 1 senior GU master, becoming the foundation of a family. A C grade talent youth after 2 years of cultivation was usually able to become a rank 2 senior O master, becoming the clan's backbone. A B grade talent had to be taken care for. They often became a future clan elder, and with 6 to 7 years of training they could become rank 3 GU masters. And when it comes to a grade, even if it was just 1, would bring great luck to the entire clan. Great care must be given with this talent. In about 10 years they can become a rank 4 GU master. At that moment they would be able to compete for the position of the head of the Elan. In other words, as long as this Gu Mo Bei grew to his full potential, he would eventually become one of the elders of the OU clan. That was why the academy elder laughed happily. The elders watching in the darkness also sighed in relief. Then they all turned to look at one of the elders amongst them with jealousy. This elder was also horse-faced. He was Gu Mo Ber's grandfather, Gu Mo Chen. His face was already smiling. He gave his old nemesis a provocative look and said, What do you think? My grandson isn't bad, huh? Gu Yer. Kai Lian. Gu Kai Lian had a head full of red hair. He harumphed in annoyance and didn't reply. It Was apparent that he wore a livid expression. 1 hour later, half of the youths had already walked through the flower sea. There were quite a number of C and D grade talents among them, while half of those youths had no talent at all. Sigh, the bloodline is getting thinner. These few years the clan hasn't had any rank 4 masters to strengthen the bloodline. The 4th generation clan head was the only rank 5 master, but in the end he perished, together with the flower wine monk, and did not leave behind any descendants. The GUU clan's later generation talents are getting weaker and weaker, the clan head said with a deep sigh. At this moment, the academy elder shouted, "GUU Kai Chent." On hearing this name all the elders looked at GUU Kai Lian. This was GUU Kai Lian's grandson. GUU Kai Lan had a small and short build, with a face full of pockmarks. He was clenching his fist, his entire face sweating. It was evident that he was incredibly nervous. As he walked onto the opposite bank, the little lights entered his body. After walking straight for 36 steps he stopped. Another B grade. The academy elder yelled. The youth started a commotion, sending GUU Kai Chen envious stares. Ha ha ha, 36 steps, 36 stops. GUU Kai Lian shouted, proudly staring at GUU Mo Bell. This time it was GUU Mo Chen's turn to have a sour face. GUU Kai Chen, in the midst of the crowd, Farag Yuan stroked his chin thoughtfully. In his memories, the clan heavily punished GUU Kai Chen because he cheated during the awakening ceremony. In reality Kai Chen only had C-grade talent, but because his grandfather, GUU Kai Lian, helped him fake the results, he appeared to have B-grade talent. To be honest, if he wanted to cheat, Feng Yuan had a countless number of ways to do so, some ways even more perfect than GUU Kai Chen's method. If a B-grade or a grade talent appeared, they would receive the clan's utmost care. But firstly, Bang Yuan had only just been reborn. It was hard to prepare the cheating method with such conditions. Secondly, even if he had managed to cheat, he would not be able to fake his cultivation speed. He would be exposed by then. However, GUU Kai Chen was different. His grandfather was GUU Kai Lian, one of the 2 elders with the most authority within the Qian. With this Kai Lan, would he able to cover up for his grandson? OU Kai Lian was always hostile towards GUU Mo Chen. These 2 elders are the clan's 2 biggest influential authorities. To suppress his opponent he would need his own grandson to have an outstanding talent. It is also because he was helping from behind, GUU Kai Chen was able to conceal the truth for a time. In my memories, if it were not for that incident, the truth would never have been exposed. Fang Yuan's eyes shone with light, his mind thinking up ways to use this knowledge to his advantage. If he exposed the matter on the spot, he would receive a bit of reward from the clan, but then he would offend the highly powerful GUU Kai Lian. This was not advisable. He also could not blackmail them within such a short period of time. Due to his low status, it would just backfire on him. As he pondered, he suddenly heard the academy elder call out his name, GUU Fang Yuan.